What is up, YouTube? It is Baseball Nerd back with another MLB video. In today's video, we're going to be going over the top 5 free agents and 5 landing spots that I think they could end up during this offseason. And we're about to get into 2021, so I figured let's hop in and get a little deeper dive into the top 5 guys, give some 5 teams that they could possibly go into, and then like a major prediction, number 1 prediction, and maybe give a contract, like years salary-wise, a little guesstimate of that. I wanted to do these 5 separate videos and get a little more in-depth, but I don't want to start making them and then have one of the guys that I haven't made yet sign and then not know what to do there. So I figured we just lump them all together. We're going to do all 5 in one video. I'm going to give you their 5 spots and then an overall prediction at the end. These aren't going to be the exact same teams I predicted in my first video going over all the top 50 free agents, but you know, I don't really care at this point. We're just going to be a little deeper into this. So starting at number 5, we got Marcell Ozuna. And you know, the DH thing, the whole NL DH not having it kind of screws this one up. But I'm still going to give you 5 spots I think he could go. There is a couple NL. I think there's actually only one NL team. Yes, only one NL team for him. But starting off at number 5, we have the Houston Astros for him. I think with their outfield, Michael Brantley, Springer being questionable, he could play left. They got a shorter left field. I think he could be fine there if he doesn't even DH and Yordan Alvarez plays the outfield. Number 4 for him, I have the Toronto Blue Jays, and they're just kind of linked in with everybody. I think if they miss out on some of the top guys coming up, maybe they swing and get Marcell Ozuna as their DH, or you know, even a left fielder for them with Gurriel and Teoscar Hernandez. I don't know. Maybe a DH. I think a DH would be better for him. Number 3 for him, we have the Atlanta Braves. He could always go back to the Braves. Everyone talks about his defense, and yes, his defense is not great. He's a better DH, but he's been playing left field for the first 2 teams he played with in his career, the Marlins and the Cardinals. And then he did it a little bit with the Braves. Obviously, he DH'd way more than ever before, but he's been on NL teams before DH. So he could do it with the Braves if they keep Christian Pache and Acuna in center and right. They have a really good outfield defensively and offensively, and then he's just their weakest link. I think they'd be fine there anyways. Number 2 for him, I have the Minnesota Twins. This obviously depends on if Nelson Cruz doesn't re-sign with the Twins. I think he will, but if he doesn't, Marcell Ozuna I think would be a perfect fit in there for the Twins. And my number 1 prediction for him is going to the Chicago White Sox. I know they made a trade already to get Lance Lynn, and they signed Adam Eaton to play right, but Encarnacion is gone, so that's their DH/first base. I know Jose Abreu plays first, but their DH gone, and then Grandal, when he DH'd every once in a while, when James McCann was catching, can't really do that anymore because James McCann is gone, so Grandal is probably going to be catching close to every day, and if that happens, they could use a DH, and I think Ozuna would be perfect for that lineup, and he could always, you know, give Eloy Jimenez a breakout in left field. They could swap spots because Eloy is not an insane defender. But my final prediction for Marcell Ozuna is the Chicago White Sox, and maybe like a 5-year, $90 million deal, something like that. Something that comes out to around $18 million a year. I think that'd be perfect for him and the White Sox and definitely be fair value. Moving on, we got number 4, and I'm going to go with George Springer. These rankings aren't really necessarily rankings. I know JT and DJ and Springer are all kind of mixed and matched. But Springer, going over his top 5. First, before I get into his top 5, I wanted to say this really sucks that the Phillies don't seem super into getting anybody big right now, or they haven't been lately. I know they just made that 3-team trade to get reliever Jose Alvarado from the Rays. I like that move for them. They need a bullpen badly. But center field is a big spot. I think that they could super upgrade this offseason with Springer and have a McCutchen, Springer, Harper outfield, which would be insane, but doesn't seem too much like they're going after big guys, so I'm not going to throw all my chips in that basket. I'm going to leave them out of the top 5, but they would be in there for sure if they seemed more willing to spend. Number 5, I have the Minnesota Twins, and I forgot to mention this earlier, but the Twins also non-tendered Eddie Rosario this offseason, so no left fielder for the Twins, and I know Springer's a center fielder. I think Buxton would maybe reign over him in center field in Minnesota, but he could still be the left fielder there, and their lineup would just continue to be insane from top to bottom. I think he'd fit there. Number 4 for Springer, I have the Chicago White Sox, and obviously this is if Marcell Ozuna didn't go there. I think he could play the outfield for them. Luis Robert seems to be a lockdown center fielder in the future there, so maybe he plays left, and Eloy moves to DH, and that fixes their DH problem right there. Number 3 for him, the Toronto Blue Jays, like I said, they've been linked to a lot of people. They seem to be willing to spend and really want to get a big free agent this offseason. He would fit perfect there. He'd fill out their outfield with Gurriel, Teoscar Hernandez, and George Springer, and they wouldn't have to trade any of their younger pieces to get a big guy like that. I think he would be really, really nice. He could be a leadoff type of guy there for them, but I don't think maybe the lineup's that deep yet. Maybe he'd be like a 2-3 hitter for them. Number 2 for him, I think the Atlanta Braves would be a nice spot. if they want to go for more defense and offense, more the overall balanced combo and not a Marcell Ozuna type of guy. He could play left or center for them, and they can move Christian Pache or whatever they want to do. The outfield will just be loaded. And then number 1 for him, I think he's going to the New York Mets. And I really think he's going to end up in New York. I think the Mets are going to get him. After they got McCann, I thought that's the first guy I thought was next on their radar. And I think he'll go to the Mets on maybe like a 6-year, $135 million deal. I think that'd be perfect for him. Next up, we're going to go on to DJ LeMahieu, second baseman. And I think, there's a lot of spots DJ could end up. A lot of, he could play second, he could play first, he could play third or short if he really needed to. And he's a really good hitter overall. That high contact is something that's kind of lacked nowadays in baseball, but I don't necessarily think it's terrible thing. He still hits for power. He's just really good overall player. The 5 spot for him is a team that seems a little more focusing on the B tier players, but I could see them scooping up a guy like this and competing in the next couple years. I think they're still a little ways off. Don't have as much pitching, kind of more veteran guys on their field. One really studly outfielder, but that's the San Francisco Giants. I think they could definitely make a run at DJ, and if they got him, that'd be super cool. Number 4, the Washington Nationals. They've been talking about getting a middle of the order bat even after they got Josh Bell, so I don't necessarily think he's their middle of the order bat supplying more power. I think he's more of a leadoff guy, but that infield with Carter Kieboom, Trey Turner, and then kind of a hole at second, and then Josh Bell, he would fill out that infield very nicely, and then they could do whatever they wanted and right. Number 3, I have the New York Yankees. Obviously, he could always go back to New York. I think that's a lot of people were saying that off the beginning. It seemed like out of the top 5 guys, they're like, oh yeah, he's going back for sure. But it also sounds like they're like $25 million off of each other in offers for the Yankees and DJ. So maybe not going back to New York. Number 2 for him is another this team coming up again, Toronto Blue Jays. You're going to see them a lot. So if you're a Blue Jays fan, you're going to like this. But I think they're obviously, like I said, going after big guys. He's a big guy. He would fit in there with them. With Vladdy's a DH or whatever, and you can move Biggio to first. I don't know what they would do, but DJ could play first. They could do whatever they want. Number 1, and this is a team that seems to be very aggressive for DJ LeMahieu right now. They lost I don't know who played second baseman. I didn't follow them a lot, so excuse me. Gavin Lux or Kike Hernandez, but I saw Kike there a lot towards the playoffs. So if Kike is gone now, DJ LeMahieu could be a Dodger. That would just be insane. That lineup would get even better. Obviously, they lost Turner and Jock too, but I feel like they're going to make up for that because I've seen them linked to Arenado and Chris Bryant and something like that. So if they make a big trade there, but yeah, DJ LeMahieu could be a Dodger. I think a 4-year $90 million or like a 5-year $120 million seems something that like very possibly could happen. Number 2, we got JT Realmuto. Like I said, I've seen him linked to not many teams. I've seen him, talked about being back with the Phillies, but then it seems like, they're not willing to spend. So I don't know what's going to happen. I do think the Phillies are still on this list, but we're going to start off with number 5, and that's my Angels. I don't think we're going to get him. I really hope we spend more of our money and more of our focus on pitching. I don't think Max Stassi is that bad, and I don't think hitting is necessarily what we need to focus on. But we could use a catcher potentially, and I think it obviously would be cool to see him on our team, but I don't think that'll happen. Number 4, the New York Yankees. There's been a lot of question marks around Gary Sanchez and stuff like that, so I think JT could go there, and I don't think the Yankees are going to be afraid to spend money this offseason or any offseason, so definitely a spot there. Number 3, we have the Philadelphia Phillies, and obviously I think this just depends on we don't really know if they're spending or not spending, if they're going to be cutting salary or if they're going to be adding salary. I don't know, but JT's definitely that's got to be one of his spots because he went there, he was on that team, and he seemed to really like it and vibe with the players and get along. So I think that's always got to be a shot to go back there. Number 2, the Toronto Blue Jays. The more I thought about this one, I really like this fit with the Blue Jays because I definitely think a lot of people underestimate catching, and I think him coming there not only gives them a middle of the order, top of the line bat, but it also gives them a catcher who can really help their pitching. With Nate Pearson and some guys like that, they got younger guys and Ryu and stuff like that, but they have a lot of younger guys, and JT Realmuto could really help, just not even with his hitting, like I said, but with his defense to give those pitchers more confidence, to help them talk them through things, just his experience overall. Number 1, I think the Washington Nationals would be awesome to see him go there. That would be more of a middle of the order bat that they're looking for as compared to DJ. Not to say he's a better hitter, just saying it's more of his vibe as DJ is more of a leadoff, and it would fill in their catching spot, and then they can fill in second and right with maybe lower guys or whatever they got to do to fill out the rest of their team. But yes, I do think Washington Nationals would be a good spot for him. Maybe like a 7-year, $150 million deal for JT. I think that's fair value. Be cool to see him to go to a lot of those teams. Number 1, we got Trevor Bauer. And this one's a really hard one to predict, man. He seems to be kind of linked with everybody and not really against anybody, except for maybe some of the bottom teams that aren't competing very much. I don't know where he could go. Everyone can use starting pitching, even the teams that have, like the Padres just showed us, with Clevenger, Snell, Lamet, Paddock, Gore. They still went out and got Darvish. So, yeah, I don't know. He could go anywhere. But I'm going to go off on this list. And number 5 is the Atlanta Braves. I think the Braves could be a good move for Trevor Bauer because I think, they have a really good offense. They have some good pieces in their bullpen, have some good pieces in the starting rotation with Mike Soroka, Max Fried. They got Charlie Morton this offseason, obviously Ian Anderson. So they have a lot of good pieces. He could just really bolster that starting rotation and take them over the top. I don't think they necessarily need him. That's why they're at 5, but I think it's definitely a possibility, and he's seen how they can contend and get to the playoffs, and I think he would really like that. Number 4, we got the Toronto Blue Jays. Like I said, they're kind of linked to everybody. I feel like they're going to snag one of these guys, but pitching definitely would help them. Give them that front of the line ace. He can maybe help out Nate Pearson and stuff like that. I don't know. I think he'd be a really good fit anywhere, but Blue Jays does make sense to me. Number 3 is the Dodgers, and I've also seen now that DJ LeMahieu has been attached to them, I've also seen them come up saying that they're going to try for Bauer now, seeing what the Padres are doing with their starting rotation. I think with having Kershaw and Buehler and Dustin May, Tony Gonsolin, Julio Urias, they don't really need a starter in my opinion, but I also don't think the Mets necessarily need a starter, but I have them next on this list. So number 2 is the New York Mets, and like I said, I don't necessarily think they need an ace, but maybe they don't care. Maybe money's not a problem, as Cohen's made it, pretty obvious. And Trevor Bauer's made it pretty obvious that he loves what Steve Cohen is doing with the New York Mets and the direction they're heading in. So maybe he does want to go there and play for the New York Mets, and I think that's why they're number 2. I think I've heard a lot about the Mets this offseason, and I know Trevor Bauer pays attention to social media and stuff like that. So he's probably heard the hype and is with it. Number 1, and this is, I know I'm an Angel fans, guys. I know I'm going to get a comment about this one. But I have Trevor Bauer still going to the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. It's partially a wish. It's partially, a prediction. I think it's definitely possible. Everyone talks about us needing starting pitching, and then when we say we want Trevor Bauer, they say, well, yeah, you guys suck. You don't have any pitching, so why would he want to go there? I'm like, well, that kind of makes it obvious to me. That's why he would want to come here, is to be our ace, be an ace on a team, and, help us. I do think we would need more than just Bauer. I think getting Bauer and then maybe trading for Musgrove or trading for Sonny Gray or any of those deals could be, worth it to bolster up our starting rotation. We don't just need Bauer. I think he'd be a very good start, and I just don't want to see us waste more money on hitters. We do have Pujols coming off the books next year. That's like $30 million gone every year that we don't have to spend on him, and so that could really help free up some, maybe if we backload his contract a little more and make it a little cheaper in the first year. I don't know how it'll work. I definitely could see him going to any of these teams, so he's one that I'm a little less strict on my top 5. We did just have some reports on Twitter and some different apps of Trevor Bauer being supposedly saying he wants $40 million a year. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think any teams will pay that, especially this year. And I don't necessarily think he wants that because he kind of called out the guy who tweeted that and said that that's not what he said or his agent has said. So my prediction for his contract would maybe be like a 6-year, $205 million, 7-year, $235 million, something around there. Definitely think he's not going for his 1-year contracts anymore. I believe that part. Don't know about the money part, but any team I think that gets him, I think will definitely be much, much better for it. So that's my top 5 free agents and 5 spots for each of them that they could potentially be going to. Hope you guys like these predictions. I'm going to do some more stuff like this coming up. I'm really hoping this offseason starts to pick up shortly. James McCann signing, a couple cool trades, obviously with Darvish and Snell. That was really awesome to see. I just want to start seeing where some of these free agents are going to go. There's a lot of them still out there, so it'll be really cool to see. And yeah, so if you guys like this video, please like, subscribe, turn on notifications. I don't know if I said that in the correct order, but there should be a little thing around here doing it for me. So thanks, guys. See you next time.